Yesterday, the grand jury gave the verdict on the Dreasjon Reed case. And that's the case where the young African-American male basically videotaped his own death, being shot to death by the police. Now, they had a special prosecutor on the case, and the special prosecutor gave a press conference. It said that the grand jury came back with a no bill. It basically means that there's no case, no charge, no indictment. The criminal part of it is over with. Now, in this particular case, there was a lot of attention because there was video of Mr. Reed being chased by the police officers, and then it was being streamed live, and it also showed him getting shot and ultimately dying. And then another officer said some words to the effect of, well, it looks like it's going to be a open casket, homie, which seemed to be very insensitive, was insensitive to the killing of Dreasjon Reed. Now, when I saw the verdict, or when I saw the press conference in the beginning, it was very easy to tell that there was going to be a no bill, because if you watch the officers' body language before the press conference even started, the state troopers, they were kind of laughing, they were smiling, looked like they were joking. But when I first turned on, there wasn't any sound. So it was kind of easy to determine, well, they're not taking this too serious, so must have been no bill, and case over with. And ultimately, when the prosecutor talked, that's exactly what happened. Now, this prosecutor was running for a judicial position in, I believe, Madison County, and it may have distracted her from prosecuting this case. We know through the Breonna Taylor case that sometimes when the prosecutors are not really trying to prosecute the case, or only trying to prosecute certain parts, that's what they showed to the grand jury, and that was displayed in the Breonna Taylor case. Now, in this case, we don't know what was said to the grand jury and what they heard or what they didn't hear, so you can't criticize their verdict. They're only going on the evidence that they're presented and how good of a case the prosecutor puts on. However, that's also some of the problem, because we don't know, and so it causes all this speculation, and that's unfortunate. And another problem is it seems like there's favoritism shown towards police officers, because when police officers are accused of doing something illegal, oftentimes they don't like showing their face in the news like they do an average citizen. Then they will keep their name private. They won't release it to the public. And then they give them grand juries. And the majority of people, African Americans and Latinos, and poor white, they don't get grand juries. They get charged with a crime, and then they have to go to a public jury to find out whether or not they're guilty. So it'd be nice if more people got grand juries like the police do, and then less people may get charged with crimes instead of going to a public trial and then rolling the dice about whether or not you're going to be convicted. Now, another aspect of this is body cams. If the police had body cams and you could see everything from the very beginning to the end, we would know more possibly of what happened. And we also know, after the press conference by the special prosecutor, the Indiana State Police gave a press conference and they revealed some of the evidence that presumably went before the grand jury. And some of it was an allegation that this gun was stolen from somewhere in Texas and used in some drive-by shootings, that it was on him, that it was in his waistband, and there was video showing something in his waistband, and he fired 2 shots at the police officer, and the police officer fired back about 13 shots, and they don't know who fired first. Well, I mean, that's pretty compelling evidence if that's what happened. And the only side of the story that we have is the officer's side and the little bit of video that we've seen. So if we had more video or more information, maybe that would make people feel a little bit more comfortable about what really happened. Part of the problem is that a lot of people feel like the police, law enforcement officers have abused their authority so many times, it's hard to trust. It's hard to trust this institution that we should trust. And then when there's a lack of transparency, it makes it even more difficult to trust what really happened. However, the good news is Indianapolis is, officers, IMPD officers are getting body cams. Some of them have body cams. So hopefully moving forward, incidents like this will have more video footage to be able to tell what really happened in situations. And that will reduce people feeling like their voices aren't heard and the protest, and then people taking advantage of protest and turning into looting or rioting. So more information, more transparency really is the key, and letting the citizens know that their voices are being heard and that their concerns are being addressed. And that hopefully will produce more trust with the system. And incidents like this, unfortunate incidents like this, will not happen, because contrary to what they said about there's no winners here, there is a winner. In my opinion, it seems like IMPD won, right? Because according to them, they followed the proper procedure. Their officer is in charge. They didn't engage in excessive force. That's a win for them. It would be a total loss if it came out that, well, this officer is being charged with a crime. He engaged in improper conduct, excessive force, all that kind of stuff. That would be considered a loss. So in my opinion, IMPD won, and the loss really is with Mr. Reed. How unfortunate that is, whether he fired back or whether he fired first or whether he didn't fire at all. It's a loss because the man lost his life over something that seemed somewhat inconsequential. It was speeding, I believe. And then he ran from the police, and then it turned into his death. And that's unfortunate. And hopefully those kind of incidents will be able to have less likelihood of happening with body cams, so people can see exactly what's going on, and that transparency will reduce some of the distrust that is in the community between the police and people that feel like they're being disenfranchised, like African Americans, Latinos, poor, white people, that this will help.